Building a personal brand. So that's what us artists need to do to succeed in the world, apparently. I read a quote on a blog not too long ago, which basically said people don't care about your art. So what they care about, if anything, is you. So you should be the thing that people are buying. And you can read into that a few different ways. I think, how you're projecting yourself, basically, in other words, is quite important. How you're coming across, just in general, whether it's online or offline. But also, I think trying to sort of know who you are and therefore be able to communicate your identity to other people so that they can potentially relate to you. And this is a struggle, I think, for a lot of people. And I think it's not perhaps something that everyone would typically advise. I think the advice for success is normally just fake it until you make it. Just do the thing, be the thing that is popular right now, or that you think people want, or that people might even say that they want. Um, but then you can lose that authenticity. And, for everyone that says, no, this is just how I am. I'm naturally just this person who is breezing through life, happy all the time, and everything's going great and always positive. And, what I'm saying is if you're trying to project that positive image, some people will say that, yeah, they're always like that, but it's a bit of a lie. It's not true. It's a way to build a facade, which is fair enough. We all do that in different contexts to varying degrees. But if people were a bit more authentic or a bit more real, maybe the strugglers out there, the people that aren't just naturally gonna make it, might feel a little bit at least understood, or a little bit more in, they feel like they're in good company. Because I think that's the trouble. If you watch a video or read a book, tips to success, you sort of think, okay, so I need to basically be like you because you're the one giving the advice. And, maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But, well, how do you know that the person giving the advice is genuinely successful? I think a lot of people can say they're successful. I've said many times before how on paper I could sell myself as someone who is really killing it. How many other people can say that, they had their first book publishing deal by the age of 20, 21, or, became a bestseller, or has sold nearly 1 million book copies worldwide, or has sold thousands of art prints, or, as I mentioned in my last video, has won the 2024 UK Manga Artist of the Year award. It's not as great as it sounds, trust me. I could say that, but the reality, or at least another side of what's really going on, is that I'm not successful because this whole channel at this moment in time is, well, trying to discover how to become a full-time professional artist. I'm doing it part-time. I'm kind of, I know what it is to be a professional artist, at least in a part-time context. It's something I've done for decades. I'm no stranger to drawing a picture, talking to a client, getting money for it, doing that whole exchange, or drawing a picture, creating it on a product, and then selling that product and doing that exchange. So whether it's commissions or selling, I'm reasonably well versed in it. But just because I know how to do something, and just because I've done it many times, doesn't mean that it's, I guess the career is really killing it. I can't retire off this money. I can't even pay the bills just from my artistic endeavours. I have to do side jobs, work outside of art just to get by. And this series is really just, like I've said, a last ditch attempt really to see if I can figure out. And I guess what I'm doing is I'm trying to just convey my own personal journey to others. And if anyone can relate or gains any insights from this, great, because that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to share what I think is real and what's happening for me, what's worked, what hasn't. And I don't want to do, the top 10 tips for success videos. I might have to resort to it because that, let's just say I wanted more attention, more views, whatever. then if that's what gets it, then sometimes you almost to some degree have to just sell out. It's all good and well just doing my long form ranting about my artistic experiences or otherwise. A lot of this is just like observations in life, really. But if no one gives a shit, then it's no good, is it? I might as well just be doing this on my own, like just turn the camera off and just talk, just pace up and down the room, just talking about what I think's going on, what's not. But yeah, there is obviously something within me that wants to kind of share this. I mean, and there's a few topics I do feel quite passionately about, which, it's a personal thing and it relates to art. But yeah, I kind of feel that I want to communicate, I want to get it out there. For example, art theft, stealing in general is bad, but the whole thing about stealing from artists, that whole topic, it kind of goes under the radar a bit. I don't think most people know to what extent artists are having their work stolen from them. I've mentioned it in several videos now, the point that I will create a piece of artwork, I'll have to firstly I have to go away and learn how to become an artist of some degree, professional enough that someone would pay money for my artwork. Then I have to go away and create a bit of artwork, and that could take, say, 30, 40 hours to finish. Then I have to go to the effort of maybe putting it online on websites, adding it to products, turning it into sort of a tangible, physical, or could be downloadable asset. But then what will happen is you'll get just unscrupulous arseholes come along and say, oh, I like that, I'm just going to steal it and I'm going to sell it. And they haven't done any of the lead up work to get to a point where they were good enough to be able to create an image, or even creating the image itself. They just couldn't or didn't do it. And obviously that's an injustice. It's not fair that someone should profit from the fruits of your labour or, take an easy shortcut. But it happens all the time. And because of the internet, there's barely any policing. I mean, there's policies in place, lots of policies. And if you get caught breaking policies, you could potentially be banned from a website. But there's no legal ramifications. If you're basically selling, if you rob a jewellery store and sell the stolen jewellery on eBay, what's eBay going to do? Probably nothing. If anyone reported you, they probably wouldn't do anything. And even if they did, what are they going to do? Just ban you from the website? They're not going to liaise with the local authorities and the police in order to get you investigated for criminal endeavours. It really just, they only care if it affects their bottom line at the end of the day. And in fact, there are sites, especially Amazon. I don't think Amazon is getting better at this every year on year. For the last 3 or 4 years, it's got better at this. But certainly, going back, say, 5 years, there wasn't really any regulations or rules about just selling counterfeit products. I mean, there was rules. They say, oh, you're not supposed to do it. We don't want you selling illegal stuff, counterfeit stuff, whatever it is. I mean, they say that, but then it got to a point where they weren't really enforcing it. So you could be a seller from China, sign up to Amazon, say you found a popular, let's say, movie or a game, a franchise, or whatever it is, an IP. You've created loads of pirated, whatever, posters, bags, mugs, I don't know, and people are buying them. People are paying money for this counterfeit stuff. I mean, if people don't realise just the extent of it, just search for something. Search for T-shirt or mug or poster or just something like that on Amazon, and I wouldn't be surprised if half of the results, if not more, even now, are counterfeit goods or goods where they haven't got licensing rights to do, to reproduce the artwork which they've stolen. I mean, even you could accuse me of being guilty of this because I've got a few fan art pieces up online that I sell. Although I think fan art's a bit of a different case, and I think maybe I'll have to explain my stance on that later, or maybe I'll explain it now, who knows. If anyone's interested in that, let me know. But yeah, one of my personal things is just art theft. And it's the principle of it. It's the labour, it's stealing the labour. If a farmer grows an orchard full of apples. He's taken ages to sow the seeds, reap the reward, or hoping to reap the rewards. But then someone just goes into the field and thinks, oh, I'm just gonna fill up a bag of these apples and just take them for me. They haven't done any of the work. It's like so this kid's story that I was that read to when I was younger. It's called Little Red Hen. So for some reason, it was about a hen that could bake a cake or bake cakes. So it's a pretty smart hen. Not only could it bake cakes, but it could talk. So it would talk to the other animals on the farm, and it would basically say to the other animals, look, do you want to help me bake this cake? And if you do, once it's cooked, we can eat it. It's going to be great. And the other animals were like, nah, it's all right. And then, it would systematically go around to each animal, go up to the sheep, go up to the cow, the pig, the dog, whatever. And they were all saying no. And then basically no one was helping. The red hen could, for some reason, managed to find ingredients to make this cake, made it. Everyone wanted a piece of it. And the hen was like, no, you didn't help me make it, so you don't get any of it. I hope that's how the story ended, but I think these days the story would be like, oh, go on there and have some of the cake, which I don't think is really the moral of the story. The moral is, if you're just lazy and you're not helping out, then you're not going to get a slice of the pie or cake. And so it's the injustice. And the thing with fan art, if you are going away and creating fan art, I'll just quickly say this, hopefully you'll be a fan of the show. So it's not like you're just trying to cash in necessarily. You would have, you'd understand the show. You'd understand the show, the fans that like the show because you're one of them. And you might want to appeal to them and appeal to your love of this thing. And you'll go away and you'll create an original product. Hopefully it will be different enough such that, it's your own unique spin on it. It's something that would never have come into existence had you not existed and been born. And you've put a lot of time and effort and expertise into creating that fan art. So it's like, well, I think that's a bit different from literally saying, I'm going to steal your thing and just I'm going to be the one to profit from it. So that's basically my stance with fan art. There's a bit more to it. Quick example is the fact that take a Disney franchise like Star Wars or something. If I created some Star Wars fan art, tried to put it online, Disney would come after me and say, "Oh, we own the rights for this. Take it down." The trouble is, what Disney have done with Star Wars is because they keep pumping into this IP, they keep generating new series, new movies, new merch, they're constantly like trying to keep this within the general zeitgeist of society and rejuvenise the hype for it, and they're almost effectively turning it into a religion. Jokingly, some people do say, "Oh, my religion is Jedi" or whatever, but no, seriously, like there's enough people that subscribe to the Star Wars world and universe and everything that comes with it, or knows about it, that basically Star Wars monopolizes I don't know what you call it, just the kind of entertainment space that it's not even just entertainment, but just like, well, what I'm thinking is like before Star Wars, before commercial entertainments or things around that, you pretty much just had stuff like religion. You would have, let's just say in this case, Christianity, and then people could sell Bibles, people could sculpt religious icons or paint images of Jesus, and then other people would buy it or whatever. But there wasn't a monopoly on it. You wouldn't get, God's lawyers onto you for breaking, a copyright agreement for using Jesus's likeness in your work or whatever it was. It was just free game, because that's what people knew. You know, they knew their job, they knew their family and friends, and they knew religion. But now people know IPs. People know Marvel, they know Disney, they know Harry Potter, they know normally film franchises, but yeah, there's fandoms, could be music fandoms as well. They know that thing. I mean, with music, it's normally not that corporate. It's still quite in the domain of the creative, normally. But yeah, so I kind of feel like, in part, things like religion have been replaced with these intellectual properties. And it's not just entertainment. It is almost like a religion. It's something to that people feel give them sort of a sense of community or meaning or belonging or something like that. But it is in the hands of big corporations that then maintain a monopoly over these things. I've never heard anyone talk about this issue in this way, but I think that's basically what's happening. And in a way, like, it's all good and well, you know, like, you know, if you can build a thing, make it into a big thing, you know, in a way, why not? But there is, like, does anyone think that taking like a creative work or any type of story or entity out of the hands of, you know, the initial creatives or entrepreneurs or whoever created the idea, and then turn it into a massive corporation that's sort of very separate from sort of the people at the bottom who are kind of interacting with its products? Like, does it, like I don't know, there's just something very, like, sort of cyberpunk dystopian about corporations just being in charge of everything and monopolizing everything, and sort of just basically fining anyone that steps on their toes. I don't know, especially with a lot of fan artists, you know, people like me. It's like, look, we don't have $1 billion turnovers. You know, some of us are just lucky to make, you know, $100 a month, you know, from our artwork or whatever. So, like, why are you going after us? I don't know. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm trying to justify it a bit, but that is what I think. And I never used to really think that. Like, I feel like I used to be quite naive when it comes to fan art. I used to think, oh yeah, you fan artists just trying to cash in off the back of things. You're not a real artist, you know. And I used to be a little bit more elitist about it. I used to prefer, and I still do prefer, original artwork. I used to prefer creating artwork. I used to enjoy designing like a character and thinking how its outfit would look and what the sort of persona of that character would be like. You know, that was more fun for me. But yeah, since creating more fan art and kind of understanding it on a deeper level, I feel a little bit more, a lot more sympathetic towards fan artists. And it's that you know, it's not a clear cut fan art is good in all situations and should be allowed legally in all situations. But there is something to be said for the rights of fan artists and how perhaps they shouldn't be the first ones to be sort of sued or fined or banned for basically just perpetuating this monopolistic intellectual property to begin with. Because I mean, some companies will say, oh yeah, it's fine. Look, if you want to create fan art from it, if you want to sell it, whatever, it's good. Because every time that happens, every time that someone's buying a T-shirt with a bit of fan art on it, or, you know, whatever, it's kind of renewing the interest for that intellectual property, or, you know, thing or entity, whatever it is. So it actually has like a net benefit. Anyway, I wasn't going to talk about that, but I have. But yeah, this video really, other than, well, it's talking about personal brand really, and I suppose, like I say, a couple of my values, stealing, you know, other artists' works, and yeah, and something else I can't even remember what it is. Doesn't matter. But yeah, so there's a few sort of artistic related things I sort of feel passionate about. But yeah, I always find it difficult to try and work out how much of this sort of projected level of competence I need to deliver to people, customers, whoever, or how much I should just be myself. Because I mean, if I'm really myself, like I don't think I could eat. I don't think really I'd even be safe to talk to most people. I don't, and to be honest, I think a lot of people wouldn't. We all have to kind of conform and sort of kind of find a middle ground where there's a lot of overlap. And if if ever you kind of are trying to exist outside of the sort of status quo, there's gonna be some backlash with that. And so you have to decide how much of that I'm willing to deal with at any particular time. It can be quite difficult, but yeah, basically, I think when you're trying to think about projecting a person or creating a personal brand and how you project yourself, uh, you should never think about being 100% authentic self, and you probably shouldn't be thinking about faking it till you're making it and sort of building up a sort of a facade or a persona that isn't or doesn't speak to your sort of core values. It's just a difficult topic, really, because if the advice is no longer say fake it till you make it, and instead be your authentic self, or what if your authentic self is just a complete loser? What if you have a lot of negative opinions? What if you genuinely are quite biased and just dumb with your opinions? Not even dumb, but you were just raised in a way such that you've inherited the kind of understanding in the world opinions of others around you that aren't healthy for you or society. But you can't help it. You just believe what you believe. But you might not be able to say that. You might not be able to communicate certain ideas because it's just not safe. It's fine if you're naturally quite a good person, you're empathetic towards people and you genuinely care about others and you want everyone to be happy and you want to go out your way to, just make sure that everyone around you is having a good life, perhaps putting your others' needs before your own. I mean, that's, that kind of selflessness is, a virtue that I think we all value and that we would all love to have. But then there's varying degrees between that and just hating other people. I mean, jokingly, people around me will say, "Oh, you know what? I prefer just staying in. You know why? I just hate other people, especially the introverted types." They'll say, "I just hate other people." Sort of tongue in cheek. They don't literally hate them, but I think we can all say at times other people are very annoying, frustrating. We all have our own ideas of how we should be or how other people should in the world should be. Uh, when anyone is making our lives harder than is necessary, especially when it almost seems like people are going out of their way to make things harder for you, you can't help but get annoyed by that or frustrated and think, if I ruled the world, there would be a law that people couldn't, cut people up while they're driving or, uh, you know, walk slowly in front of them, when you're in a hurry to get somewhere, or, you're not allowed to take 20 minutes counting out your pennies at the checkout at like a supermarket because you failed to just count your money before paying for the goods or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Not that I'm saying I can't be myself because I'm an absolute fucking loser. I am not perfect, and I do worry about showing that. I think as well, like I value perfectionism. It's just a part, I'm a perfectionist, just for whatever that means. So I value that. I value that in myself. I value that in others. I value it in the world. If everything is kind of clean, neat, tidy, in its place, good. If anything is kind of chaotic, not good, well, self-explanatory. Yeah, that's not good. So so that's just a me thing. But I suppose yeah, it's like really something that I think if you are trying to build a personal brand, you have to kind of think, who am I? What makes me me? What are the parts of me that perhaps aren't necessarily like everyone else, but aren't necessarily bad either? You know, I think, you know, me being a bit, I can be a bit long-winded, quite reflective. You know, think maybe too deeply about things. But then, is that a bad thing? In the context of trying to, let's just say, increase views on a social media post, you kind of just want to be quick, punchy, explosive. You want to get to the point. You don't want to be long-winded. You don't want to do long form at this point, like nearly 30-minute rants about a topic. Maybe not. Or if you do, you want them to be quite insightful, I suppose. But I think every time I talk, I'm trying to figure out life. I'm trying to figure out what I think when I think. So I'm always second guessing my opinions, even as I'm talking. I'm sort of thinking, do I really think that? Do I not think that? Is what I'm saying actually making sense? And everything that anyone says, everything that I say is really complicated, really, if you think about it on a deep level. So you can get quite bogged down with trying to work, or I can get quite bogged down trying to work out, do I mean what I say, or am I just saying it because it sounds good? Yeah, so yeah, if you're trying to sell yourself, or, you know, kind of get people on board, I mean, I suppose you have to just try and be you, and have to figure out what your sort of niche is. And I suppose, like, you know, if you're not a super empathetic, kind, giving person that everyone wants to sort of kind of follow, befriend, you know, that kind of thing, then that's just who you are. And if you're someone who's maybe I don't know, maybe, you know, kind of more, well, something else, then you have to try and be that, and hope that there are some people that can kind of relate. Like, I think with these videos, I'm just trying to convey my own personal journey of being in a place, you know, having done this career for as many years as I have, in a sort of at least a part-time capacity. I'm just trying to sort of document that journey, and I'm kind of hoping that there's going to be other people who can either relate to that. You know, if I talk about a struggle that I'm having with a part of my career, or just sort of life in general, you know, there's the feeling that people don't want to hear about that. People just want to hear, I want the top 10 tips of how to be successful. I want the answers. I want you to be confident, and I want to feel confident in you that you can provide what I need. Thing is, I think a lot of us are just suckered into believing that anyone who could provide all the answers can provide all the answers. You know, we just believe what we're told, and really, everything is quite complicated. And I'm hoping that people would feel, okay, he doesn't know everything, but at least he says he doesn't know everything, which is, you know, not perfect. Ideally, you kind of want to know everything, genuinely know everything, and then be able to convey that. But at least it's better than knowing nothing but pretending that you do, or just parroting other people's advice, and then just saying, look, I read in a book that, you know, you should do this or be like that, and therefore that's how I'm going to be, and that's how I'm going to advise you be. And even though I haven't fully like understood what that means on a like deeper level, who cares? It sounds good, and, you know, it'll get the clicks or whatever, get the sales. So and I think I kind of hope that if I can just talk about at least my own personal experience of what it is to be an artist or even be a human being, like that will be able to offer some insight that, like a more short form, quick, punchy, you know, top ways to use marker pens video, or how to mix your paints properly video would provide. Because this is another idea, like the personal brand is like, I think what you're trying to do there really as well is offer something that no one else can. Because if you can, if you're, I guess I get, it sounds a bit weird to say this, but if your product isn't just your art, but it's kind of you, then it means you're going to have less competition, a lot less competition, because there's only really one of you. So if people buy into you as a person, then no one can come along and say, oh, I'm going to try and compete with this guy. This guy's doing well. Let's see if I can emulate what he's doing. Because maybe, I think, especially if you're talking from your own personal experience with things, like only you would have that, and there's no way for anyone. Like, you could bullshit people and you could say, oh yeah, I've done this or I've done that, or you find out that apparently people like it when you say that you had a traumatic childhood, because it makes you feel like, or makes other people feel like you've done well to overcome that trauma or something. I don't know. So maybe you make up some bullshit story about having had certain things happen to you. But it's not real, it's not genuine, and you have to then live your life feeling like a bullshitter or a faker. Although for some reason that doesn't seem to stop quite a few people from going down that route. I'll just finish off by saying as well, like, talking about bullshitters, and especially in the sort of art space, I had this, one of these, I think there's quite a few, there's at least probably a dozen of these the minute art courses that you can do, kind of art success courses. Are you an artist? Do you want to start selling your art? Have you ever thought maybe I can make a career selling my art? They'll say, I can turn your income from, $500 a month to $50,000 a month or something like that. There's a lot of these marketing, sales, success type entrepreneurial courses in general. There's probably thousands of them that people are willing to spend, thousands of their hard-earned pounds, dollars, euros, whatever, to try. But yeah, a lot of them are, I wouldn't say scams, but normally the people who are going to succeed with certain endeavours, and let's just say in art, are the sort of people who would succeed anyway. A course that they take that is going to promise that they level up or succeed in ways that that they couldn't do by themselves. No, I think they would get there. It would probably just, at best, shorten the journey it would take to get from A to B. And for them, maybe it's worth it. Maybe if they were on the trajectory to, let's just say, make £100,000 a year, but instead of it taking 10 years to get there, they got there in 5 years. That is definitely worth the few £1,000s of course fees or whatever. But those people, they're. I'm trying to think as a percentage. Would I say like only 1 to 5% of people are going to be in that predicament where they're going to kill it? I think 95% of people that take courses that are that promise to get them to succeed and make their dreams come true, I think 95% of people just aren't going to do it. And I've taken, I took a course like that a few years back, and I kind of realised like one of these things, like talk about like personal branding, because this course was run by an individual who sort of, he put his name on it, So it's like, it's my course, this is what I believe. He tried really hard to sort of convey this sort of positive, helpful sort of personality. And it's kind of one of these things where it wasn't all bad, because if it was, you just wouldn't get anywhere. You know, if you were just completely unlikable or had nothing to offer, you would never get any customers. But after all was said and done, I won't go into details too much in this video, but I will just say it turned out the guy was a bit of a bad actor who was a bit, had ulterior motives. And even throughout the entire course, I kind of was a little bit skeptical of certain things that were being sort of said. Like, when people start handing out figures like, oh yeah, in this year I made, $50,000, and that year I then made like $1 million. And then just in 1 month I made, $25,000. And sometimes people can be, they're trying to project a sort of sense of positivity, and maybe they're quite positive people, and it's just kind of how their mind just kind of likes to frame things in the most positive way, and that's just how they communicate. So maybe I shouldn't be too harsh, but sometimes with people like that, when you break down the figures that, or when you scrutinize what they're saying, you realize that, okay, yeah, you made $1,000 today, but how much of that was profit? How much of that was spent on advertising in order to get that $1,000? How much of that involved, I don't know, making contacts, high profile contacts that could send you work that you could never otherwise get, and how much of that involved just like sucking up to people and like almost manipulating them into sort of befriending you and then providing you work. There's a lot that kind of goes along with these sort of high earning sales figures with some people. Not everyone's like that. Some people are just genuinely just saying, look, I'm really good at what I do. People want to pay me for it, and I made a lot of money. And I'm sure they worked hard. And even the grifters, they work hard at grifting. But I don't know, I think more often than not, people that are trying to sell, like a course, an online course that basically promises to make all your dreams come true, or sort of words to that effect, I think most of the time they're going to be bullshitters. And it's a difficult thing, because I kind of thought, if I can kind of go through a journey of trying to become an artist, and I can go from sort of really struggling and finding like really getting stuck with a lot of issues, and then if I could personally overcome them, then maybe in the future that's something I could do. I could then offer a course to teach people how to get over this kind of stuff. But it's a really tricky one to do in a kind of really genuine way, where you not only believe you can do that, you can believe you can genuinely help people, and you believe you're genuinely offering value. But I mean, the thing is, people can believe their own bullshit. So, especially when money is involved, especially if it's the difference between earning nothing and $1 million a year or something. It's like, you might just want to believe that, yeah, you know what, I'm offering value, and if I put it out there into the world, and if people aren't being successful like I was, well, that's their fault, that's their problem, I shouldn't worry about it. But I wouldn't want to be like that. I wouldn't want to say, oh yeah, I'm running a course, pay me $1,000, $10,000 to be part of it, but there's no guarantee of results, or I sort of kind of subtly pass the blame and say, well, look, if you didn't succeed, that's your problem, that's down to you. All I can do is show you the way. And it's like, yeah, well, yeah. And with some people that is true. Some people, you give them all the tools they need to do the job, and they just will not do it. And like, you can lead a horse to water, you can't necessarily make them drink. But then there are people, I think I'm definitely one of them, who will be given all the tools, and like, I'm the sort of person, like, if I join a course and I'm given homework to do, I will I'll be the teacher's pet. I'll go away, I'll do that homework, I'll do it better than anyone else in the class because I genuinely want to succeed in this thing, and I take it sort of seriously, and I'm very sincere with it. And then when it's not working, I start to sort of question things. This particular course that I went on, like, I followed everything that was advised that I do, half of which I was already doing, so it was a bit wasted on me to some degree, because I was already selling artwork. It wasn't like I was a complete newbie, whereas the course was sort of geared towards it. But I think that was another thing that gave me a little bit more insight than almost everyone else in the group, I'd say, because I joined the group hoping to level up, hoping, like, for example, like these videos where I talk about trying to go from part-time to full-time. I thought, oh, maybe I can go on a course, learn how to be better at selling my art, and then I can go from selling it part-time to full-time. Whereas I think most people were just going from no time and would be happy maybe even to go to part-time. But so yeah, I was already was halfway along this journey, so I could tell what was bullshit to some degree and what wasn't. And yeah, it sort of became apparent to me that half the stuff being taught was sort of bullshit. It was sort of sold in a way that made you feel like it was achievable, it's possible, build it and the results will come in. And I remember thinking some of the things like, okay, so this was a course teaching how to sell your art. The main focus initially was to sell artwork on Etsy, to build an Etsy store and to sell it on there. And there were various tactics in order to try and increase chances and likelihood of sales. Like, the advice per se was okay, it's fine, but yeah, I think this is the thing. Like, if you've got okay, so here's an example. If you've got 100 artists and you tell them all the steps to succeed, you've probably got, like, I don't know, 5% of people who, whether you told them the steps or not, they're definitely going to succeed. They're just really competent, really good at what they're doing. They're going to nail it. And then out of the other sort of 95%, you've got, say, 5% or maybe more, maybe even like 10%, 20% who just will not do anything. You'll tell them, in order to go from where you are to success, you're going to have to do at least something. In order to, eat, you're going to have to get off your ass, go to the kitchen and eat. And those people would just be like, oh, I guess I'm just going to have to die then, because I don't want to move. And it's just an exaggerated sort of sub-example, but yeah, they just don't want to do anything. They thought just by literally joining the course, it'd magically all work out. So they make up, say 10%. And then you've got the people in the middle, and most of those people, they're going to slowly start trying to make some progress, but they're not really cut out for it. And I think those people as well, they don't appreciate just the kind of work that's involved in these kind of things. I think they think, oh, this is a lot of work, this whole building an Etsy store and trying to put 10 items on it and, sell them and deal with customers and facilitate orders and, understand suppliers and just kind of get into the whole process of, the whole chain of sort of supplying products and the rest of it. Whereas there's other people like myself who are like, okay, well, I appreciate how much work this is and I'm already halfway there and this is nothing. Like, even if you can, let's just say you're creating artwork and you're selling it as art prints. It's like, okay, you've got to do a lot of stuff to get there. Let's just say, even with Etsy, you've got to create a store, you've got to populate it with products, you've got to create, mock-up images or whatever of those art prints, write descriptions, engaging descriptions. You've got to work out how much it's going to cost for you to facilitate each order. You've got to find suppliers. You've got to understand the process of putting through orders with suppliers. You've got to understand customer service, dealing with problems when things don't turn up or there's some delay or whatever. But even then, that isn't going to work. I mean, I think with Etsy in particular, for example, you're at a point now where, well, firstly, you need really good art. It's got to be really good. Like, it's got to be at least in the top 1% of all art that's available to buy in order to sell, unless you kind of get lucky and you're asking friends and family to buy from you. And it's like, okay, are you doing that? Are you really in the top 1%ers? Just because you've taken a course on how to sell doesn't mean your artwork is in that top sliver of high quality art at the top. So firstly, yeah, you've got to have a really good product. And then you can't just have a really good product. You can't just have 10 really good products. You need, with Etsy, maybe like 100 to 200 products. Like, and you do that knowing that most of them aren't going to sell, but you have to just throw a load out there to try and just get a few little golden nuggets that just, like, for some reason, that, they resonate, and they are the ones that sell. So you need high quality, high quantity, high volume. And even then, it's like, okay, well, that's a part of it. Now you need to work on a marketing and advertising strategy. And if you don't do that, then again, you're just going to, people are just never going to find your Etsy listings. So I kind of felt like, yeah, it was a very kind of rudimentary, like, I kind of feel like it was a lot, like, to go on an art course and pay to learn how to set up an Etsy store. I mean, especially if you're paying like over £1,000 or $1,000 or whatever, it's like, it's a bit of a piss take, basically, because you can learn that information for free. Really, before taking any kind of paid course, you should just max out all the freebie information that's out there. So it kind of baffled me while I was doing this course that so many people they hadn't even considered that. They thought, oh, I'll just pay the money and I'll get a quick shortcut to doing it. But when the course ends up being like instruction on how to sell on Etsy, it's like, oh, okay, well, there's a million videos on that, videos which are better than the ones that we're sort of given to watch. So yeah, there's a lot more to this course than I'm talking about, and I would like to sort of talk about it a bit more, just in case anyone was thinking about, any artists are out there sort of thinking, you know what, I want to take one of these courses. I saw this advert online that said that they're going to be able to, they guarantee they're going to get all their students, at least $10,000 in sales within the first 6 months or whatever it is. There'll be some guarantee, but then the guarantee will be sort of the fine print, the terms and conditions will be like, well, look, you have to do, the guarantee is you will definitely sell. Oh no, they can make any guarantee. They could say you'll definitely sell $100,000 worth of artwork within the first month, and we guarantee it. It's a money back guarantee. But in order to get your money back, there'll be like 50 hoops you have to jump through. So you would have to go through all the course. They'll say you have to go through all the course content. You have to create this, do that, do this. And it might not even be physically or feasible for you to do this. Or it would be for some, but if you're doing it as like a part-time venture, and you might go into it a bit blind thinking, oh, okay, I can just do this in my own time. It's like, no, here's the rules. You've got to do, we've got a checklist of 100 items, and providing you do it all, they'll say you will earn the money, and if you don't, they'll give you your money back. Most people won't do all the items, therefore, yeah, they're going to maybe give some money back to the people who do tick off 100 checklist points, but overall, it's going to be a net gain for them, and they can't lose, and they get to offer a money back guarantee while offering, a ridiculous reward if you take the course, I suppose, and that's just how these things work. So yeah, if anyone was thinking, yeah, I might do one of these courses, well, message me, speak to me first. If there's anything anyone ever wanted to know about taking an online course, especially an art course or a sales course, those kind of courses where they say, look, buy our PDF for $100 and it will teach you everything you need to know to sell art, or take our online course for, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. You'll be one of many students, which, we guarantee success. imagine, and then, they paint the picture. Imagine earning $100,000 a year, escaping your, horrible 9 to 5 grind, living the life you've always wanted to live. Any kind of course like that. If you see them, let me know, and maybe, if you're curious about joining them, talk to me first about it. That's what I'd say. Thing is, I don't want to shoot down people's dreams, but I'd rather people hate me, I guess, and say, "Oh, you're shooting down people's dreams. You're being negative," and know that some people hate me for doing that. But also, I'd think it was still the right thing to do to save the majority from wasting their money, getting ripped off, and basically funding people who don't really give a shit about them. They might come across like they do. They might say they do, but ultimately, if sort of shit hits the fan, like a lot of the time, if you ever question the course, if you say, "Well, wait a minute, I've done I've done the 100 checklist points on your list. I'm not succeeding. I just want to discuss this with the rest of the other students, the rest of the group. Can I do that?" The course organisers will instantly ban you. They'll say, "No, you're not doing that. Get the fuck out of my group. I fucking hate you." And you're like, "Well, wait a minute. I've paid my money. Surely I deserve to just discuss my results." That's apparently what we're encouraged to do. But obviously you are, as long as they're positive results. Just another little side note. So this is another tactic that I don't know what you want to call them, course organisers, course leader types, course sellers will say. They'll say, "Oh, and it sounds good on paper. They'll say, "We're going to create like a forum or a group or sort of foster a community where we talk about our successes in the group and we inspire each other to, to succeed, and, we motivate everyone that, so in order that people don't give up, and so that people can see that, things work and that hard work pays, and, you're trying to sort of foster this sort of positive mentality and, this sort of results-driven sort of sense of community within the group. But, the cynical part of me is saying the majority of the reason why they say that, not only is fine, that's fine as a thing to have, but there's an ulterior motive to it, which is, if you're just talking about the success story parts, it's like basically saying you're only allowed to review this course if you give it a 5-star review. If you talk about if you give any negative reviews, we remove the reviews. And a lot of the courses are like that. We only allow positive discussion within our course group. And if you want to question it, if you want to criticize it, that's not useful to the other students. That's not useful to anyone. You're being negative. You're dragging down the vibe that we wish to, create within our group. You're banned. There's just all these little, there's just so many little things like that I've discovered in these kind of things that, it's just exploiting people, and it's just manipulating the system. I really would like to be specific about the group that I took and go through it all, kind of breaking it down about what was good about it, what was bad about it, just to help people understand what they would be potentially getting themselves into if they were to do these groups. I think most people, if I was to be honest, they would just say, "Yeah, thanks for that. I think I'll avoid them." Trouble is, there might be some good ones out there. I can only talk about my own personal experiences, having sampled. Well, I've sampled like, I think 3 or 4 sort of introductory lessons. So normally, if a course is being sold, like it's how to become a successful artist course, you'll normally get like a free intro session or a free workshop or something, to kick you off the bat, and that will then lead to a sales spiel at the end, where they then try and get you to buy the full course. So I've done a lot of the sort of intro parts, and one course I actually went down and paid money for. But yeah, they all follow the same sort of marketing system. There's a very, I don't know, it's just a kind of a well-tested sort of psychological trap in order to get you to buy these courses, to invest in them, and for the people who deliver them to make their money. And I honestly think that some of these people, in order to justify themselves, to not think that they're bullshitters, and to feel like they're not, just deceiving people and manipulating people, or that they themselves are good people. I think most of them genuinely believe that they're helping their students. And it's like, yeah, it's just an interesting phenomena, really, that people will genuinely think that they're helping, when actually, if you zoom out a little bit and just look at the results they're getting, it's like a course might have, say, 100 students. They'll all pay $1,000. The course leader's loving it. They've got $100,000 at this point. When you look at how many people will actually get genuine, tangible results, the types that will get $50,000, $100,000 incomes or whatever from having taken the course, it's going to be 1 or 2 people in the entire course. The other 98 people aren't going to make that. The other 98 people might get some good information within the course, but it's not enough to justify the outlay of the course. And my personal opinion is, that's just not good enough. For example, the course that I took and paid money for, that was worth something. There was some value in it. It wasn't like complete time wasted. I definitely learned some things from that course, some things I didn't know or didn't really consider, and even just maybe being part of a system kind of gives you the motivation to do it, whereas it's quite hard to just do it on your own. So that has some value. But yeah, let's just say if it cost me, say, £1,000, it wasn't worth more than about, for me personally, probably wasn't worth more than about £50, I'd say. It's like, yeah, I'll give you some money for the bits, the little nuggets that I have got. But for me personally, kind of, maybe it's because I was sort of halfway through my journey of becoming the professional full-time artist. I wasn't going to get as much out of it as people who starting from zero. But like I say, you shouldn't be taking a course like that if you're starting from zero, when there's just all this free information out there anyway. So yeah, okay, but that's just a little thought about taking an art course, or or not, and it kind of makes me reflect on this sort of sub goal in the back of my mind. If I can figure this thing out, if I can figure out how to become a full-time artist, I can then convey that into my own course. But I'd have to be really careful about just doing it in a way that was genuine. Because funnily enough, I feel like I could just do that now. I've got enough evidence, proof of sales, in whatever capacities I have, to kind of skew the numbers a little bit and make it look like, I'm succeeding maybe more than I am. Or even I could run a course just to say, well, look, would you like to get to where I am? Would you like to get to a point where, you're earning, even if it's like £100 or, $500 of passive income every month from your art? I'm pretty confident I could teach something like that. It's not a living though. What I'm trying to do is find a way to make a good living, and then I would want to teach how to make a good living. But maybe I should start small. But then, like I say, it's doing that with like just a sense of like moral integrity and understanding the system, not being bullshitted to by it. Because like I say, I think some people that believe they're helping others by providing courses, I think they believe their own bullshit. I think they have been bullshitted to. They're probably the sort of people that take courses themselves and have just jumped on this hype and have thought, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm learning from this. I'm making money from this. It's working. They believe, I think they genuinely believe that they're offering value. But yeah, I don't think they always are. So yeah, the journey continues, trying to make it full time in this world. Something to consider: building a personal brand, who I am, what I'm doing. This is just some observations about that, observations about courses and things as well. And I'll see you next time.